Hello, everyone. Katie Ganderton here, also known as Tenacious Kate, and your host of this podcast. This podcast is about being tenacious in all aspects of our lives, and there is nowhere else I would rather be. I have left my full-time career as a dental hygienist to become a stay-at-home mom with multiple residual income revenues, being a keynote speaker. Welcome everybody to another episode of Rise with Tenacity. My name is Katie Ganderton, also known as Tenacious Kate, and I'm excited. I have been waiting for this interview for months and months. I had the great pleasure of meeting Terri last year in person in a Florida event that I had hosted, and gotten to know a little bit of her story. And I'm really excited for you guys to hear of her story today and what she's walked through, and the tenacity that she's had to bring to the table, to literally rise and overcome quite a bit. When we talk about grief, and we're going to get into those stories and where she's at today. And if you're new here and you're just plugging in, our podcast here is really for those of you guys that are looking at starting a business. If maybe you're in a business and you're feeling like you are maybe at a plateau, at a standstill, and you're kind of like, I just don't know. The goal here is for you guys to listen to our guests on this show and relate and be able to connect with one of them, multiple of them, and their stories and their journeys, and to see yourself within one of them, to say, gosh, okay, she did this, she's gone through this. Okay, what steps did she take? How did this work for her? What did she go through? How did she accomplish this? And to know that you can overcome literally anything. It does take work, but you can overcome all this stuff that you're going through in business and in life. And that's exactly what our guests on this show do, is they are overcomers, and they have risen with tenacity and had success on the other side. And so they're an example for you. And so without further ado, because she's got a lot to share, and her story is very powerful, I'm going to introduce to you guys, our guest today is Terri Chaplin. I'm so glad that you are here, Terri. She is a CEO in a multitude of aspects. So I'm going to talk on, she has her own website. She's in Living in Gratitude with TLC. She's a grief coach. And part of this is she specializes in serving individuals who've experienced various kinds of loss, whether it's the death of a loved one, a divorce, or any major life change. There's no two grief journeys that are the same. And Terri personalizes her coaching sessions designed to meet your unique needs and emotional state. It's a safe space for you to express your feelings, explore your thoughts, and take constructive steps towards healing. She heals through one-on-one coaching sessions, group coaching sessions. She's got valuable courses, but she didn't just land on this just because she wanted to do this. She landed on this because she's had to overcome through this. And so without further ado, Terri, welcome to Rise with Tenacity. I'm so honored to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Katie. I am so excited to be here and share my passion, which is supporting people through loss and grief. And I just appreciate the opportunity to be here today and hopefully share my story with lots of people and impact and touch many lives.
And you already are, but you're going to do that even more. And so let's dive right in, because this is for some people that are listening, I feel like this is a hard subject because it's a hard thing to overcome when we talk about grief, and it can hold people in places to where they're stuck and they're not moving forward. So, but it all had to start somewhere. So talk to me about where all of this started for you.
Okay, sure. Well, in 2005, I lost my first husband, Troy, to renal failure. He had been sick for about 5 years and had gone through 2 kidney transplants and was on the list for a third. The first 2 were not successful. So he was waiting to have a third and passed away unexpectedly due to complications from his renal failure. And at the time, my son was 10. We had one son, Tyler. And so it was just Tyler and I after that. And I eventually met someone and remarried. And he and Tyler grew very close. And in 2012, Tyler graduated from high school in June of 2012. And in August of 2012, we got that knock on the door late at night that you see in movies. And it was really just like out of a movie. It was someone coming to tell us that Tyler had been involved in a car accident and he did not survive. So when you say, like, people say, you suffer a loss and, you know how to grieve. Nothing could have prepared me for losing my son. It was like nothing I had ever experienced, even in losing my first husband, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, cousins, you name it. Nothing could have prepared me for that. And it really took a toll on me emotionally and physically and affected my life greatly. And it's a long story, but I became overwhelmed with an incessant need to do more and to be more out of a need to honor the life of Tyler. I felt like it was such an injustice and so unfair that he was no longer here and able to enjoy life and to live out all of the hopes and dreams that he had for life and the hopes and dreams that I had for him. And so I did seek out some traditional therapies for myself, but nothing resonated with me. And I felt like no one understood. I felt completely alone. I felt completely isolated. My husband was a great support. I did have my family and a few friends, but for the most part, I felt like no one understood and there was no place for me to share my grief. So I got to work reading every book I could get my hands on and the whole personal development, getting my mind right, and decided that something needed to be done for the people that came after me who suffered such traumatic losses. Somehow I needed to be the change. I needed to be the difference in the world to educate society about grief, the effects it has on people, and how we can best support those who are grieving, because there's so many misconceptions, so many judgments placed on people who are grieving as far as, how you're supposed to grieve, how long you're supposed to grieve for. And I just want to be a voice for people who are grieving a loss and help people understand where they're at and support them and show them how I got to where I am. Like, I want to fast track them so they don't have to suffer through the things that I had to suffer through, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. And first off, condolences over all of it. And I know time has passed, but that still doesn't bring anything back. It's still, I'm sorry for your loss, for both losses.
Thank you.
It's unimaginable. And I think, when we talk about coaches in any realm of a coach, one of the coolest things a coach does is they compress time for people. And they really help people to move forward faster. And that's exactly what you just stated. So if you're a brand new listener and you're thinking, okay, I've gone through some things, and it could be grief, or it could be you're at a plateau in your business. We've said this over and over and over again, that a coach compresses time, because you have to let their hindsight be your foresight. And they've gone through, like, you've gone through this ahead of anybody, that is reaching to you now, or maybe not. Maybe there's somebody that's had somebody and they're grieving even longer than before your son and first husband passed, and they don't know how to progress, and they're stuck in this point. And it brings me to, like, my grandmother, who's now passed away. Her son was hit by a drunk driver walking on the side of the road, and he was 12 years old. And she lost him, and she never, for the remaining of her life, could move forward. And it was sad to see, because we never got to have that, like, connection. Like, we connected, but there was always this, like, it was a disconnect. Like, if that makes sense. And then the relationship I saw between my mother and her never was the same, and there was a detriment to that relationship. And so, I feel like you have so much to offer anybody that is stuck, anybody that's plateaued or does not know how to progress past that grieving period, because you've been able to overcome that and you've taken those steps. So honestly, if anybody's listening and you know somebody, or if it's you, reach to Terri, to just seek counsel and to get the advice and to be coached and walk through those things, because it's heavy stuff. It's heavy stuff, and it really does take a huge toll on all parts of your body. It's not just the mental. I mean, it really does take a big toll on your body. And, let's talk to our next question here, which, as you're getting into the business aspect of things now to help people, we're talking on a general scope here. We'll get into specifics more like on the next question, but generally, what would you say was your biggest struggle in business, and how did you overcome that in a general sense?
That's a really good question. Honestly, for me, it was probably imposter syndrome, because I knew that I had this burning desire and this passion to help people, but I would catch myself, saying to myself things, like, who are you to help other people? Who are you to support other people? And like, do people really want to know what I have to say? Why me? Why me? And I let that like self-doubt and feeling like I wasn't the right person creep in one too many times. And it took real hard, consistent work to move past that and feel comfortable in, and now be able to sit here today and say, I am the perfect person to support someone who is grieving a traumatic loss. Like, I honestly can say that, and I believe it. And I feel like that shines through. And I was really able to do that by just recognizing that there are people who need me. I know where I was the morning after and 6 months after, and it's a bad place to be. So I know there are people who need me, and I have to do this to honor Tyler and his life and to make meaning of his life. And I used positive affirmations, mindfulness, just being conscious of the things that I was thinking, the things that went through my head every day, being mindful of those things and learning how to reframe my thoughts. So when those negative thoughts would come in, or those doubts would start to creep in, being mindful, I was able to stop them abruptly and say, you know what? No, not today. You are the perfect person. And after doing that so many times, it just trained my subconscious mind to say, you're the perfect person for this job. There is no one better suited than you, who's walked the path, who can walk the path with other people. And that's really how I did it.
Congratulations. Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you. It feels good. It feels
So
good
happy.
to know that and believe in yourself. It feels
Well,
good.
and let's touch on a couple points that you brought up that I think that can tie into every business, because affirmations and self-belief are truly what will help. Not, I wouldn't say affirmations will propel you, but the self-belief is what will build your value and in your worth and showing up and knowing that you are worthy, and you don't need somebody else's approval. And so, like, to the listeners here today, I feel like that's really important, because a lot of the things, like you mentioned, the imposter syndrome, I feel like we see that, especially in the social selling world, because you see a lot of just the images, the lifestyle. A lot of people don't like to share like their ish that they're going through.
Right.
And I think that's, but for some reason people look at that and they're like, oh my God, their life is amazing. Not realizing that behind whatever celebration it is has come 100 other, things that have gone on to get to where you are today. And I think that knowing, like you said, the other point I want to bring up is the catching the thought, being aware of what you're saying to yourself. And I would almost say like this, and you would probably agree that this is something that has to be done all day long, because we have hundreds and thousands of thoughts all day long, right? And so catching those thoughts, like you said, and being able to say, stop, no, let's reverse that. I am this, and becoming aware that instead of feeding down that rabbit hole of oh, okay, well, what's next? And I think that those things right there that you mentioned are huge with knowing that you are worthy, because your story is something that not everybody has experienced and can relate to, but you can. And when that person needs you, like, they can't come to me because I can't share that. I don't have that gift of overcoming that type of grief story like you do. And that's a gift that you have that you can pass to somebody. And I think if we could have more people that are in business realize, like, I'm going to reverse, like I'm taking a tangent here. Someone once I heard speak, and she said, I don't have a story. I have nothing to say. I haven't gone through anything. I don't have a story. And this was at a company event. And I was just like, I can't believe that. I just honestly can't believe that someone says I don't have a story, because we've all gone through something. It may not have to be an extreme, but there's always something that has shaped us, molded us into who we are today, and the decisions we make and the courageous things that we do, right? And so I think when you can say, hey, how can I show up in my story that can help somebody, instead of them thinking it's an embarrassing story or it's a sad story, and tying their worth to that, then you get to step into like what you just said, that greatness of understanding. Yes, I have something valuable. Yes, I am the perfect person to share this with them. Right.
Right. Oh yeah. And that's why I say it's hard work. It's not easy work. I tell people that all the time. Grief is hard, but it's just as hard to stay stuck in grief as it is to seek help and do the work that it takes to heal and be able to embrace life again. So you get to choose, which path you're taking, which hard you're choosing. But if you want to do the work and you're consistent with the work, you truly can change the trajectory of your grief and of your life. And I'm here for it all. I'm here to show you every step of the way that it is possible, because it sucks to be stuck in grief. It causes so many emotional and physical changes to us. It's an awful place to be. So if I can help people overcome that and find a better way and move forward and embrace joy again, I'm all for it.
Well, and 100%. And you touched on another fantastic point. It's not like a one-time awareness and like you're healed. And that goes, I think, with anything, right? It's not I think I'm going to think this way for this thought and I'm going to be good to go. It's a consistent, consistent effort to move forward. And again, tying this into all things, right? Because in business, same thing. Like, you have to show up that consistent person in order to have the right mindset when the day doesn't go right, have the right, and to handle the type of person you're coaching, right? Because emotions are probably pretty high, probably volatile at some point, I would imagine, and very roller coaster-ish feeling for people, because it isn't an ebb and flow of emotions. And I think that consistent piece was key that you brought up. So let's talk on now. Let's bring it down to like the last 6 months, 3 to 6 months time frame on challenges. What do you think in your business, what is a current challenge that you're facing right now?
Probably the most challenging thing for me is being one person and wanting or having a desire to impact so many people and to have such a greater impact than I feel like I'm having. So, the challenge is in being able to duplicate myself or creating something or some way to be able to serve and support more people than I'm able to on just a one-on-one private coaching realm, which is what I'm currently doing. So I'm actually working on a program right now that's a space outside. It's an online space outside of social media, creating a community. It's called Healing Hearts Community. That will be a place where you can come create a profile and interact with other members who are also grieving a loss, and also a group grief coaching program that goes along with that. So in addition to doing my one-on-ones, I'm going to start a group, which will allow me to overcome that. And it's a work in progress, but it's needed. It's something that's needed in order for me to have the impact that I want to have, because I want to help so many people. And just sitting one-on-one with people, there's not enough hours in a day for me to have the impact that I want to have.
I love that. And I have no doubt that you won't achieve that, but it's like, if we could just have 8 extra arms, that would be,
Isn't that the truth?
fantastic, right? Or just clone ourselves a few times. But I think that's a fantastic, and one of the things I love that you said was like, and it's off social, because I think that's a great way to get people in an authentic, not that social media is like a double-edged sword. It's like you need it, but it's also like this, like,
Yeah.
kind of. So I love that you have it off, because again, social media is a rented platform, right? And if something were to go down and you have a community on there, that's a fantastic business tip, if you're listening, is to have a community off of social media. So again, you have access to them if something ends up happening or whatever. And I think that that's fantastic. And I love that. I think too, like when you brought up the group piece, there is healing with multiple, like when you can share stories and you can help other people.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and you probably have seen this, where it's like people can share, and not only does it help them heal inside, but they're also touching a life of somebody else, right?
Right. Oh yeah. There's beauty in not feeling alone and knowing that other people have shared a similar experience or a similar loss. It just somehow it provides some comfort knowing that. And it's a great place. That's why the community part was so important for me, to have a place. It's going to be a benefit to doing my private and my group grief coaching, because I feel like it's a great opportunity 24/7 where you can communicate with other people who are going through the grief process, who are on their own journey, and share ideas and share what works for you or what didn't work for you, and just feed off of each other. And I feel like that's so important, and something that I didn't have in the beginning and wish that I did have. Because so many times we think things, we have thoughts that go through our head, and we feel like, I can't really share that with anybody because nobody's going to understand, or they're going to think I'm crazy, or I'm going to be judged for it. Healing Hearts is a place, there's no judgment. We've all been there, done that, thought it, said it, share away, and you can feel comfortable sharing and knowing that the people you're sharing with are going to get it too. So you don't feel so isolated and alone.
Oh, that like warms my heart. I just had a vision of you hosting in-person events and doing something like that. Like, I don't know, that just came across, was like, I could see you hosting a yearly event or something for people to go to because for the community aspect.
Sure.
Because no matter how virtual we are, like, there is connection, and we are put on this earth to connect. And I think that that's something that, oh my gosh, that I just like, I don't know, I'm forecasting it for you.
No, I see that in my future.
I see it, and I can totally envision it for you.
That's something my husband and I have talked about, doing some sort of retreat at some point in time, like a weekend retreat where for people who are mourning a loss to come together and have different workshops. So it's definitely something we've talked about, and it is something I see in my future that just helps me achieve my goal of of impacting so many people
Oh,
on a much greater scale. So I'm
oh, that's
excited for all of it.
exciting. That
Yeah,
is
it's
so
very
exciting. Well,
exciting.
and that brings me to the next question. So, how can you keep the dream? First off, you talked about the dream with impacting a mass amount of people. Like, how are you keeping that dream at the forefront of your mind? And this is like the business piece, because we have, this is for entrepreneurs
Mhm.
and business people that are wondering, like, it's easy to get sidetracked. It really is. So, how are you keeping this vision of yours at the forefront of your mind?
Well, really, I show up with intention every single day, and I consistently share what I'm talking about. But I'm really big. I read a book one time, the One Thing,
Mhm.
and it talks about like what is your one thing. My one thing is educating and supporting people when it comes to grief and loss. And it drives me. It's my passion. But I feel like I start my day out every single day before I get out of bed with gratitude and setting my intention for the day. So I remind myself of everything that I have to be grateful for, what my purpose is in life, which is to honor the life of my son, and what my intentions are for that day. But my day always starts with some sort of grief work. It's just I just show up every single day and do it. But it's something I'm passionate about, which I feel like is very important when you're considering a business endeavor. I definitely say take the time to find your passion and purpose in life, and then it will be easier than if you hadn't. I'm not going to say easy, but easier than if you hadn't. When you love what you do and there's meaning and purpose behind it, like nothing can stop me from it. Nothing can get me down.
Well, and it almost is what it pulls you. It pulls you to show up. It's not like you're dragging and it's like, oh, I have to show up every day. It's like, I'm ready to go. Like
Right.
it's a driving force. And that's
Right.
when you're in hyper focus and you're in your zone of genius.
Mm-hmm.
Is that is the pull that you are looking for. If you are an entrepreneur, if you're listening in and like you're kind of going, I don't know, I'm kind of excited, I'm not really sure, you've got to do a little more inside work, because your vision and mission should propel you where you're like, I'm going, whether anybody joins or not joins,
Yeah.
or no matter what anybody says, I'm going. Like
Right.
that's how passionate you should be about what it is that your purpose is. And I think that you have hit it a nail on the head. Like you are determined, and I love seeing it. And I can feel it. It's awesome. So let's talk about, for the audience that's brand new and like just getting started, or I'm going to put the plateau piece in there. What's your biggest takeaway or tip, like advice that you would like to share with them?
Um, oh, I have so many, but probably the biggest for me and what I hear from other people all the time that I talk to is to not get discouraged. That they say that whole adage about when you start a weight loss journey and you go to the gym and you go to the gym for a week, you're really not going to see immediate results. It's the same way with building a business, but I promise you, if you continue to show up every single day as your authentic self, and that's important, show up as you, as who you are, be authentic, people will come. The right people will come. Like your people will come. You will attract the people to you, but you have to show up every single day. So don't get discouraged if you don't have the success that you want. It's not going to be overnight. It takes time and consistency to build the whole know, like, trust factor, and for people to get to know or find out who you are and what you have to offer. And sometimes people aren't going to just buy in just because they saw you in one video or they read one post of yours. But if you continue to show up every single day, speaking to whoever your ideal client is and being your authentic self, the people who need you will see that. They will, you will build the trust factor with them and they will come. So just not to give up, don't get discouraged, and keep doing all the things and it will come to you.
Oh, so good. So good. And I know that's like, I think for the biggest piece is you have to show up consistently that you said. I mean, and if you're at the plateau part in your business and you're listening and you're, gosh, one thing that when I coach people is if they say, oh my gosh, nobody's responding, nobody's interacting, nobody this, nobody that. And you go to do an inventory of their social media, it's kind of like, well, you're not posting consistently. You're not even responding to anybody that's commented on there. You are not talking about yourself. You're just posting, just here's a cute meme here. Sometimes it's just sharing other people's things, and there's nothing personable about you. So they don't get to see you or get to know you. And I think that to what you said is, the right people will see you, but you have to put you out there. You have to put you out there to be seen. And I think that's hard for a lot of people, is they have that fear of opening up and letting people see a vulnerability perhaps, or being judged, and I think you would probably agree that being an entrepreneur, your backbone gets to be pretty strong after a period of time, and your skin becomes pretty thick. It has to, but you still have to hold empathy. You still have to have that softness on the inside, but entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart in any way, shape, or form. It is, you're your worst boss. And so you have to fire yourself, hire yourself, you kind of demand those things of yourself, but also being available to other people out there and showing up in that manner. And again, I think everybody's going to have an opinion of anything. And, I think when you want people to see you, you just have to continue to move forward in spite of what people say, right? Because like I said, there's going to be people that are talking good. There's going to be people that are talking bad. And if you know in your heart of hearts that is the passion, this is where I should be going, this is what my mission is, don't let somebody sway that. And I think that's where you get into the imposter syndrome, is we let people sway too much, and we end up, oh, well, maybe they'll like this. And then we become into the people pleasing realm because we're trying to appease some person over here. You want to stay focused on what it is that your vision is, your goal is, and know that that's the work that you are called to do, not veering off of that track. So, oh my gosh, you have so many good nuggets. I just love it. Well, talk to me about, tell people where they can find you on social, on all websites. Tell us where we can find you. And we'll put this all in the show notes, you guys, as well. So, but if you're listening right now and you're like, oh, this is catchy, I can do this. Tell us where they can find you.
Well, I am on social media, mostly Facebook, but I have an Instagram too. My Facebook is under Terri Chaplin. And my website is Living in Gratitude with TLC.com. That's the name of my business, Living in Gratitude with TLC. And I will be rolling out my new Healing Hearts community this week. So I'll provide Katie with that information too, where you'll be able to find that and search it as well. It'll be on my social media too. I'll add it to my link tree. So I'm on LinkedIn too. Everything just under my name, Terri Chaplin.
Again, consistency, easy to find. If you're listening, keep your stuff the same for branding purposes. I love that. And yes, we will put that in the show notes. I'm excited for you to launch your group. That is a huge accomplishment. And now let's kind of wrap things up with our lightning round. Okay. So these are going to be a few questions, just simple answers, just to kind of get to know you a little bit more from our audience. So what is your favorite book?
Oh, that's easy. A book I read years ago when I first started my healing journey was called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And it's really about that little voice that you hear in your head all the time that you probably aren't even aware of, and how to pay attention to it. And it's all about mindfulness, your thoughts, your emotions, and how to learn how to control them. So
That
That
sounds
I
amazing.
remember reading it for the first time and being like, huh? What? Like, and then while I'm reading it, I start paying attention. That's what they're talking about. That little voice in my head, like, okay, wow. But it was for me, I had never read anything like that or even thought about controlling my thoughts or paying attention to it's not really a separate entity. It's me having those thoughts and I can control them. So yeah, if there for a while, it became like a game for me to really like catch myself and be like, okay, there it is. Like,
That's a
but
good idea though.
when you don't think about it though, you don't know how often it happens. Read the book and it will make you pay attention to it. And it's crazy good though. If you're interested in learning to, master your thoughts and emotions and be mindful.
Well, if you're on this podcast, you should be into those things.
Yeah.
So, so I need to go
Yeah.
get this book because we talked about that at the beginning
Yeah.
about how we talk to ourselves and
Yeah.
being aware and changing those thoughts. You have to reverse that script. My snap is gone. There we go. Reverse the
Yeah.
script in your mind, right? The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Ooh, it's on my
Yeah.
list. Love it. Okay. What is your favorite food?
Oh, easy. Another easy question. Give me a good burger any day and I am there. I search for good burgers. So
Oh,
that is my vice. It's nothing healthy, but that is
that's
my
okay.
vice.
Oh my
Yes.
God, my middle son would like, I love you.
Yeah. We would be eating at all the great burger spots.
Yes.
So
Oh, he's a total burger boy. I love it. Oh, I
yeah.
love a good burger too. That's great. Gosh. Okay. How many hours do you sleep a night?
About 7.
Okay. That's
I
plenty.
strive for I would like to have 8, but usually I'm good I average about 7.
Okay. Seems to be our average answer. Okay. Let me see here. We know that you're married and then kiddos, we know about Tyler. Do you have are there any kiddos that have come in or anything like that?
I have stepchildren and my stepson Sean came to live with us actually last year. Della and I were empty nesters since my son's accident, and Sean decided last year that he wanted to come and live in Florida and go to school here. He just turned 16 this year, so he's been with us for about a year and a half now, and it's been amazing. He is a great kid. We are super, super blessed. Yeah. And he's introduced me to a whole world that I was never part of, being a sports mom. So I'm a basketball mom on the sidelines cheering during basketball season now. And I love every second of it.
Congratulations. That is
Thank you.
wonderful. I love
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. And we have a fur baby too. We have had 2 dogs, Isabella and Cairo, and we lost Isabella unexpectedly in June. A super sad moment in our lives, but Cairo was here to give us extra love every single day. So we are
Love
just
the
loving it.
fur. They're just amazing, aren't they?
Yep.
Okay. And then last one is, what is one thing you would tell your 20-year-old self?
Oh, don't we wish we could all go back and do that?
Absolutely.
Probably something that affected me for a big part of my life, which is worrying about what other people think of me, my decisions. I have spent too much of my life being a people pleaser and, caring about the judgment of other people. And it feels very liberating to now be all grown up and I don't give a crap what other people think of me. I'm making good decisions for me and what's best for my life. And that's what matters. So that's, if I could go back and tell her anything, I wish she could go back and not care so much.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And it's so crazy because I feel like until we age through some things and through the life journey, then we're like, I just don't even care. I just want to be happy for me, and it's like, if only we could get that a little earlier in life, just like, come on,
Yes.
just, man, it makes such a difference, I think, in the boundaries that that we
Yes. Oh,
set for
definitely.
ourselves,
Yep.
and what we allow in, what we don't, and what we're willing to tolerate, right? you know, and if you're a young entrepreneur and listening to this, like, heed that advice. Like, do it for you, make yourself happy, because when you do things for other people, like, not that that's not a bad thing, because you want to serve people. I'm talking about like running yourself ragged for other people, you know, and not enjoying what you're doing, kind of thing. Like, make sure you're enjoying what you're doing. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Definitely.
Such amazing advice. I love this. I love this show. I'm so glad I got to have you on. It's been a long time coming. And for this podcast, you guys, this one is, you're going to have all the show notes. You'll be able to catch all the links where Terri's at. If you know of anybody that is going through loss, that has gone through loss, a long time ago, and you know that they're not necessarily moving forward, honestly, make a connect, because I think that's something that, you know, Terri can help them through. You know, and in business, when we talk about a lot of the things we talked about, you know, double over from the grief coaching, when we're talking about that mindset piece, they double into your business with the mindset piece and the consistency and paying attention to what we're doing, talking about in your head, right? And so those are all fantastic tips. And I have just loved having you on here, Terri, today. And I'm just so glad that we got to make this happen.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy.
Absolutely, you guys. And so, again, make this week amazing. Go out and do something tenacious for yourself. Rise with tenacity. Know that you can overcome anything. And until next week, you guys, go be awesome. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.